Hello, heathens.
Hello, Heathens,
Hi,
and good
friends.
day.
Good
Good day.
afternoon.
Good after. Oh, it is afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's that weird time where it's like not afternoon, but not morning anymore.
Hmm.
Oh, man. Nicole, would you like to tell the class what you have started doing?
Oh, I have started for my physical routine in the morning. I've started swimming because I realized how much I hate the fucking gym. We were just talking about this. And of course, like I donate, as you had told me, that you also donate to Planet Fitness
Oh,
because I'm
yeah.
not fucking going because
Nope.
I just realized I hate it.
Yep.
It's like grimy and oily. And I know they like wash everything down. I wash my machine down every time I'm done with it. It just,
Ugh.
ugh,
It's still gross.
it's so gross.
It's like the smell of it.
Right, right.
Ugh. Ugh.
So we have this rec center in Romulus that is amazing. It has a pool, it has all of the other stuff too. And for some reason in my head, I thought it was so much more expensive than Planet Fitness. And really, it was like $7 more.
Yeah, it's really not bad at all. And it's kind of like
Mm.
a version of the YMCA for those of you that know what the YMCA is. So it's like got classes and a gym and like a workout, like all the workout stuff and
Area. Yeah.
childcare and
Yeah.
swim classes. They even got you. I saw, I was looking on there and you told me they have a freaking water slide and like,
They have a
oh,
slide.
that's
And
so
it's so
cool.
perfect for like working out because you have to go up the stairs, right? But then it makes it fun and it's almost like play because then you get to slide down and then you
Yeah.
go up the stairs again. So after about 3, 4 times going up and down the stairs, I'm like, oh my legs. Oh, my legs feel a little bit, oh, I was like, I'm working out. That was
Hell
cool. But I've
yeah.
been swimming. I don't know if it's just because like that's what I did as a kid. And like going back to what I really loved to I realized I really loved it and don't know why like I grew up and I had to put away childish things to come back to the fact like no, I really love swimming.
Yeah, I get it because we were just talking about that the other day where it's like, us adults, we forget how to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just going out and partying and drinking.
Right, like that's adult fun, right? But that leaves me with a fucking hangover and I don't like that
And
either.
I don't like that at all. Also, it just requires way more work in my mind than going to do something like swimming. I have to get ready, do my makeup, do my hair. I have to make sure I smell good. I have to make sure I look good. I'm gonna get a little anxious before I go because like who all's going? Who are we gonna meet? Where are we gonna go? Do we have dinner it's a whole freaking
Whole
thing.
thing.
I feel like
And
swimming's
this
not.
is easy. No, because you don't have to put any makeup on because you're gonna wash it off.
Right.
You don't have to like, I guess a little bit of like body dysmorphia and stuff like that. We can get a little like, anxious about that. But then I found a great swimsuit that actually is basically like a romper. So it's a one piece, but it has just that little bit of coverage on your thighs. And like this much fabric makes such a huge difference. Like my ass isn't hanging out and it feels a lot better. And then the front part of me is not weirdly like your bathing suits are so you don't realize this. Maybe you do, I don't know. But it's like a traditional even one piece is so vagina-y.
Yes.
Like it's always vagina-y.
It's uh, you know what I don't know why I just thought this, but hi Rocky. Poor Rocky has to listen to this. But you are right because we were talking about that the other day. I'm like, dude, they give you like a whole freaking inch and a half, and they're like, oh yeah, you're fine. And like they're always so cheeky. And the thing is I don't want to go to a pool that's family oriented with my ass out.
Yeah,
That
and I
makes
just feel
me
like that's the
personally really
only
uncomfy.
right. And it's that whole thing of like trying to be just comfortable in your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of, because like, again, what you would have to think about if we have a one piece, and this is what it's like to be a woman, basically, or my version, like, then I have to remember to shave.
Yep.
And a lot of times our skin, if you shave too often, then you get bumps and zits and stuff. And it's like, I can't win for fucking losing, right? Like if I shave, then I don't have hair, which is great. But the skin never stays nice if you shave too much. Then it gets fucking angry
Yep.
and all red and bump. And it's like, oh,
Preach it. Preach it.
what am I gonna do with these options? What am I gonna do with these options?
Well, and in thinking about it, honestly, in the generations that you and I both grew up in, I do think it's changing now where skin or body hair is becoming more acceptable again. Because there
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like when we grew up, I got shaved when I was like in 6th grade for having leg hair.
yeah, yeah.
And I came home crying and I wanted to shave my legs. Because I was just
Right.
like, this girl at gym was like, my mom left, like, it was just, she was making fun of me for having leg hair. And I'm a freaking 6th grader. I don't give a shit, really. And I was a
No.
tomboy when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck. But she cared. And then that made me care because I was like, I just wanted to be accepted. But like
Right.
nowadays it's become more acceptable, which we understand, but that those kind of some of those old habits die hard kind of thing. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I've tried.
No. Well, and that's the thing. Like with hair, I had because I was a swimmer and I swam competitively for many years. And during high school, what you did is you grew your hair out and you had to keep your hair. So you had a group of you that was doing it. So it was more acceptable because we were doing it for like a thing, right?
Right.
And I will tell you the best feeling in the entire world is the day that you got to shave your leg hairs. And actually, we ended up doing a shave party where we'd shave our whole bodies right before we would go from, I don't know if it was state or it was like finals. So you had your swim season and then you were doing like the final competitions, right?
Yeah.
The big ones.
The big guys.
And yeah, so and it was all mental, obviously, right? Like we would do all this drag and we believed that the hair on your legs created drag in the water. So when you shaved everything, it made you faster
Right.
in the water. Because seconds count,
They do.
right?
Right.
So you would lose a couple seconds and it was like you were so much faster at that point. And really it was mental, but man, I felt so smooth. Like
Mm-hmm.
you would just glide that first jump in the water, like, oh, because everything was like,
Smooth.
it was just so smooth.
Yep.
And some of the guys, I know the guys would like shave their heads and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know what that felt like. I'm sure that felt weird.
Oh, I bet that felt really weird. Gliding through
Yeah.
the water and you're feeling it just
Could you imagine on the head?
rolling on your head.
Oh, right.
No thanks.
Yeah, so I started swimming and I do really enjoy it. I will, it's it's almost like A, why did I quit? B, um, it's like revisiting an old friend almost. So comfortable in the water. I am so comfortable in the water.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. You're comfortable in that element in general.
That's fair.
That is one of your elements.
I really like water.
You and water are friends.
We are friends. What are we
Okay.
talking about today, Cassie?
Today is Yule, peeps. We're talking
You
Yule.
will.
We're going to talk about the differences in Christmas and Yule a little bit, not too much, because I do want to focus on Yule because there's a lot behind this holiday. Things I did not know, some things I did,
Yeah.
but I have a lot of history about it because I feel like, again, we've talked about this with other, pagan holidays, but we go to these events. We go and we celebrate these holidays, right? But we before doing the podcast, I never knew what the hell they were.
Right.
And I wasn't held accountable to look things up, so I didn't. I just
Right.
went and enjoyed it. And that was the end of it. So I feel like it's important to know what you're celebrating and why. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then I have some stuff for you, like snow magic.
Ooh, I'm excited about that.
I did not know was a thing,
No, I did not know
which when I
that
explain it, you're
either.
going to be like, why did I not know this?
Well, I did have this thought. So, because we're in water, I watched that. I don't know if you've watched this, but it's The Secret of Water. It's a documentary about water.
No, but
And
I think
maybe
you
I think
talk
I've
about it.
mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I rewatched it because we were in water, right? So it triggered, it made me think about snow because they're literally taking water and freezing it and creating a snowflake, right? So I thought about snowflakes come down from the heavens
Yes.
and they're perfect, right? So then I'm like, well, the energy up there, because if we know that water can be programmed, the energy up there is, for lack of a better term, perfect, harmonized, balanced, because our snowflakes come down and they're so symmetrical or whatever. They're cute.
You're literally so right on track. So, like, snow is literally etheric energy. You're getting universal
Oh,
energy. It's literally freaking water.
that's it. I'm moving up north.
So, water being a feminine energy and highly connected with the aspects of goddesses, right? That's literally everywhere when it snows. If you get to experience snow, there's so many ways to use it. You can use it for healing, cleansing, purification. It's associated with passion and emotion, right? But I did just have on here because I could have spent a whole damn episode. I went down a rabbit hole today with snow magic. Because I didn't know you
Wow.
could make candles out of fucking icicles.
I
And
didn't know
apparently it's
that.
easy. Yeah, so look up snow magic and there's so much you can do with snow
I'm over
and
here like,
icicles.
excuse me,
You
peeps,
can,
I am gone.
yeah, right. I know, I was in a fucking hole this morning. I had to pull myself out and I was like, God, we could do a whole episode on just snow magic. It's really
Maybe we
freaking
do.
cool. Really cool. I never, again, it's one of those things we're just not, we go through our day to day and we don't think about every little thing. And snow is one of them. And we have been trained as well and programmed to hate snow here in Michigan because we get really heavy
Yeah.
snow, man. There's already snow up in
Yeah.
the UP right now. And so
Hmm.
because of that, we all dread snow. We dread driving in it. We dread being out in it. And when really snow is literally water and it's freaking everywhere and it's at your disposal and there's so much to it, and then you get snow with salt in it. There's just
Yes.
Snow can be really really useful. There's a lot of different things that go along with it. Even the color, it being white, is a whole thing, which we'll talk about because I have white in here, just colors today as well. But it's it's just cool because I never thought about it. Even they were talking about even making snow angels. you're
Oh, I
you're
love.
cleansing yourself.
Oh, it's like, yeah.
Making a snowman, you can use it as like a voodoo doll, you can use it as a ward, you could use it as protection for your house. There's
Hmm.
just so much you can do. And I was like, damn it, I want it to snow so bad.
Oh, I always, God, and people are so grumpy and so crotchety about like snow and
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like,
I love the snow.
well, even like we were talking yesterday, and my one client's like, oh, I hate it because it gets dark before when I go to work, it's dark. When I come home, it's dark. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess I've just always been comfortable in the dark. I don't really like, I'm not saying that seasonal depression is a thing. I'm just saying that like I've never,
You go. Sorry. I love dyslexia. He called it seasonal depressional.
Seasonal professional. That's how it goes.
I love that.
That's where I used to hear me order Starbucks too. Trinity is like, "You're so dyslexic," and I'm like,
Yeah, it's like this video I saw of this. Sorry to take a little U-turny here, whatever you want to call it. But I saw this
"What?"
video of these like two kids. They took their grandpa to Starbucks for the first time through the drive-through, and they told him to order a pinkity drinkity.
Yes, I saw that.
The
And of
lady's
course,
like,
he thinks he's like,
they're fucking telling me to say.
"That's what they're telling."
He's just like, did you want a pink drink? He said a pinkity drinkity.
Like he's so serious about it because he
It's
doesn't
so
know. It's so amazing.
it was so funny. But yeah, I agree. Seasonal depression's real, right? But there
Right,
is
right.
something so beautiful about the time that we're in here in Michigan specifically, because it's different all over the world. But right now that I really love this time period, and I love nothing more on top of it when somebody is like, they're like, one of our coworkers, he came up to me the other day. He always talks to me every once, or like when he sees me, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "Good, how are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just hate this weather, hate the cold, hate how dark it is." And I go, "Yeah, I don't know. I actually really love it." And he goes, "You do?" I was like, yeah, actually, I do. Like, I love the snow. I love that we have all the seasons. I love experiencing all of them,
Mhm.
and I really enjoy this time. And he's like, "Wow." He's like, "You're like the first one." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can't complain, dude. And I'm happy to be the first one to show you that this isn't that awful."
Or you can think a different thought even, right? Like, and that was one thing when I was researching Yule a little bit. One thing that I was really like catching on to that's a pattern is the fact that uh, you know, this was the time back then when we didn't have TV or smartphones and stuff that you would spend time with your family. And that's why families were so close because they had these times it was dark and you had to stay at home inside, because it was cold out. You couldn't like do your normal outdoor chores and all that stuff. You were cuddled around a fire because that was the main source of heat and, all that
Hmm.
stuff. And we really miss out on the fact like, I feel like we really are doing a disservice on the whole thing because we're not spending time with our family. We're not like, I think how many people don't like to go to Christmas or don't like to do
That's
Christmas anymore.
exactly. We're complaining about spending time with our family,
Right,
if
right.
anything.
It's really separating us even more. Um, like we're down to the core of like even our families. It's separating, these
Yeah.
pieces, these elements.
I agree 100% because I have that in here too. So, that's actually a good start for this too. So Yule is like historically, it's a winter festival and it's observed by Germanic people that was incorporated into Christmas during the Christianization of the Germanic people when they were moving into like more Christian areas, and then they all started getting more blended, right? In modern times by neo-pagans, which is modern paganism, it's still the winter solstice, but it's got a different blend, and it can be so different for everybody. So I'm going to give just more differences in history. But
Hmm.
then back in the day, historically, this was the time for the winter solstice where everyone gathered with their friends and their families and like neighbors, all of it. It was
Hmm.
community
Hmm.
based holiday.
Hmm.
Um, so let's see. Scholars have connected the original celebrations of Yule to the wild hunt, the god Odin, and the heathen
Hmm.
Anglo-Saxon. I know for those of you that speak, different languages, I'm probably not gonna say this right, but it's Madranit. I hope I said that right, but it's basically the Mother's Night. So Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
yes, in Germanic paganism was the
Hmm.
Mother's Night, which is the night you celebrate the female goddess.
Yeah.
whichever one calls to you.
Hmm. Well,
Um,
and I saw too, with Yule, it's also up in a lot of Vikings
yeah,
celebrated as well.
yeah. It's still, I think I read it was like in Sweden, Scotland,
Yeah.
Iceland, a lot of places like that have they celebrate Yule specifically, not so much Chris unless you're Christian, then you would celebrate Christmas. You could celebrate a blending of both. My
Hmm.
grandma makes me a Yule log every year now because she was curious about what Yule looks like, and she did her own research and she makes me a Yule log to
That's
like
cool.
keep
We
me
should
included.
make we should make one. A
Yeah,
Yule log.
it's actually you can make them really yummy. Really good. There's a whole ceremony. There's ceremonies out there for like the cake portion of Yule log. So if you make a
There
cake
was
Yule log,
Oh, see, I was talking like a regular Yule log, not like a cake one, but I'm
oh.
really down for eating, especially since I started swimming. I'm hungry. So hungry all the
You burn off all the calories, man.
time.
So, there's many different representations and histories of Yule that you can read, and they can vary considerably, especially as contemporary pagan religions differ in both like origin and practice, right? Especially because we have a lot of solar practitioners or people that adapt things and bring it into the modern times. Some
Mhm,
modern celebrations of Yule attempt to recreate ancient traditions, while others, like I said, have adapted and reimagined
mhm.
to their own personal and religious beliefs and practices. Some heathens, actual heathens,
Oh,
they they celebrate in a way as close as possible to how they believe ancient Germanic pagans observed the tradition.
mhm,
And then in most forms of Wicca, this holiday is celebrated at the winter solstice as the rebirth of the great horned hunter god, who is viewed as the newborn solstice sun.
mhm. Because this is the time where the sun god dies and is reborn. So, and in some legends and lore, it's the Oak King giving, no, the Holly King giving way to the Oak King. So the Oak or the Holly King
Yes.
dies and the Oak King is reborn
Yep. And then
and
he
grow
starts coming
starts to
back in.
grow. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Um, I have that. I have the, let's see, blip, blip, blip. Skip
I heard a little
forward.
story about the Yule log real quick. Um, this was more of the Norwedic Viking area kind of thing. So what they would do is for them, the Yule log, they would go out and get it out of like a tree, and you always lit the new log with the old log. So you would have to keep the old log for a full year, somewhere special, and you that would light up the new one. But they would, I think it was for 3 days, they would burn an entire tree, like it would be sticking out of the hearth as it was being consumed, and you would just keep pushing it in, pushing it in, pushing it in. Um, and this would keep away like this. Apparently, this is another time of year where the veil is still super thin, and because we get such a long period of nighttime, the evils and the sun gods are dying. So since the sun gods are dying, there's nobody there to like protect us from the evil spirits. This is another time when that is very susceptible.
Yeah, and I read that this is actually a time where they were burning the Yule log for 12 days because the festivals would last 12 days long, and that it
Okay.
was burned to celebrate the return of the sun each year.
Yeah, I found there's very different.
Yeah. So that's what I was gonna
So
say
cool.
too, is like when I was reading, they actually don't have like factual hard evidence of a lot of this. A lot of these beliefs behind Yule are beliefs, they're theories. They're not like
Yeah.
the origins of Yule's. they say it's like thousands of years ago with ancient Norse, but its roots are so complicated and difficult to
Hmm.
trace that they're just theories on how and why the festival was celebrated. Because I was like,
Absolutely.
holy crap, like there's just so much information about Yule because there's just so
Hmm.
many different theories out there about why they did the things that they did.
I agree. Like that, there's so much everywhere. And it's very interesting, I think, too, because like Christmas is one of those things where like everybody kind of celebrates it, no matter where they are, right? It's kind of like New Year's, like everybody celebrates New Year's as well. And it's it's so fascinating to see the evolution of one holiday into all these like branches of like it's still Yule.
Filters, all
Yeah,
these filters, because that's
they're
what I was thinking.
so
I'm
filtery.
like,
Yeah.
whether you call it Christmas, whether you call it Yule, whether you call it
Hmm.
Hanukkah, whatever you call this time of year, it's a filter. Like there,
It's the
it's
same
just through
thing.
your own filter. You're celebrating it
Yeah.
however you want to celebrate it, which is absolutely fine because like we all celebrate differently. But it's like
Hmm.
crazy because we're all experiencing the same energy through different filters.
Hmm. Absolutely. Because it's about joyous, it's about abundance, it's about giving, it's about sharing, it's about, you know, drinking and being merry. And they were even saying that there was one time when the two like Viking camps were going to fight, but because it was in this period of time and these days were so sacred to them that they literally stopped, drank and ate, and was being merry, and then continued their war or whatever. And it was like, oh God, could you?
That's just
Like,
so crazy.
it's
Yeah.
so crazy to be like, yeah, I'm gonna get you, but I have to
Actually,
hold,
you know what?
please.
Why don't we put our shit down? Let's go eat and drink and then we can hate each other
Yeah, and
later.
then we'll hate each other later.
So, in all these
And I hope
theories that,
we,
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
You said no. I hope we what?
I, I was gonna say, I hope we really like, I hope we get back to more of a like, to find the joy in this world. This is the time that I really think it's tangible. And I really hope that we really like get to that point of back to the joy in Christmas. Like I just feel like, and maybe it's because I'm an adult, I guess. I don't know. But like, remember when we were kids and you couldn't wait?
Dude, that's
Like
what
all that stuff.
I made my Christmas tree 90s theme this year. Just pain and misery, but I wanted it to feel like that nostalgic Christmas when I was a kid because Christmas was the most fucking exciting time of the year. Everything's decorated, there's fucking shit everywhere. Christmas music's fun. I don't care what you say, I like it. We get to go see
It
lights
is.
everywhere. There's lights
Yeah.
in my house, everything's decorated, and it's just this big buildup of excitement to hang out with everybody and like exchange gifts and watch and see what people get.
Yeah, it's just fun and laughing, and especially, we've worked so hard through the year. This is our bounty. This is what we worked so hard to manifest throughout the year. And, we've really taken to this thing of like, oh, now it's Thanksgiving, and now I always feel the pressure around Halloween afterwards of like, I don't have enough time. Like, Christmas is coming and I don't have enough time, which is not true. But I think it's the flavor of like, I don't know if it's the energy, right? And I don't know if the energy is like something that somebody puts out like a diffuser, like they turn on their not enough
Mhm.
diffuser on, and that's what we're getting. So we automatically act that way. Or is it how we feel? And that's what's very potent out there. But I know that it's something every year that I feel as soon as Halloween's over with. I feel the pressure of the negative parts of Christmas, I guess.
Yeah, it's understandable. I feel like there always is something with it, which, you know, I can get it. Like Christmas can be hard for some people. Absolutely. That's totally understandable. I think that's basically what you're trying to say too, is like we just have to get back to the root of it. Like the root of the
Mm-hmm.
feeling, the root of the time. Like it doesn't have to be this huge Christmas where you're spending thousands of dollars on your kid and getting them every little thing that they want. And if not, it's not a good Christmas. It's about the feeling of it. That's what they're going to
Right.
remember. Your kid's not going to remember, oh my God, my mom bought me this for this Christmas when I was like this years old and it was the best Christmas ever. They're going to remember the things you do, the things you say, the games you play, the time you spend. Like one of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest things, I don't remember shit I got as a kid. Not one thing. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
only 30. So it's not like I'm like in my 70s trying to remember what I got for Christmas as a kid, you
Right.
know? I remember every year when I was at my dad's house, we'd go to my stepmom Karen's grandma's house, and we would watch that one freaking movie with the Meisters, the I'm Mr. like he Meister,
Oh,
I'm Mr. Sun.
what was that? Oh, I don't know what that was called. I forget because we did
Oh, it's
Rudolph and
Miser.
Frosty. It's Miser,
It's
right? Yeah.
Miser, yeah. The Year Without a Santa Claus.
Oh, that's it.
We watched that every single Christmas, and it was one of my favorite Christmas movies. And everybody in that family was so into watching it every year that it was just like this wholesome, like we're all singing together kind of thing. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the shit I remember as a kid. Not like, oh my God, I got a phone, or I got a freaking laptop, or I got these, or I got this. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like we have to get back to that, like the memories that you have, the happiness you have, spending time with each other, quality time. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that was a long way to say. That's what I felt like you were trying to say too.
Yeah. Like I just feel, and I don't want to be like cliche of like, oh, it's so commercialized and blah blah blah. Like I like getting stuff too.
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
not saying I'm not
I also
saying
love
like
giving
that.
shit.
I do believe that we need to get off our high horse about being pagan and all that kind of stuff and being like, well, they stole Christmas from us. And I'm like, I saw a lot of that. And I'm like, oh,
I actually read in this one that was very historical based, because you know how I am, that a lot of Germanic pagans actually chose to go into Christianity with their paganism on their back as well. So they took both and made their own, which is what
hmm
honestly started leading towards modern paganism.
hmm yeah, it was that blend of it instead of because like it's interesting about when we start talking about tradition, like we want it to stay the same, but everything in this world evolves. So we would almost be, it would be weird for it not to evolve,
Mhm.
you know?
I
Where
agree.
it would be weird for it not to blend in, especially because we've had the whole world now, where before it was just a village.
Right. It's kind of like they built the foundation for us.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Absolutely.
always go back to the roots, you can always go back to the foundation, but you know what you build on top of it isn't necessarily bad. I
No.
wouldn't say
And
so, at least.
no, I wouldn't think. I mean, not all the things are good. Obviously, we stopped sacrificing goats and bulls and stuff like that, but like,
That was actually my
well,
next point. That I did read that there's theories that sacrifices of cattle happened during this time. It was partly due to the lack of like food for animals to eat. So that was a good time to
yes.
sacrifice them and save the meat, as well as they used it
Yeah.
as an offering. And then there would be these big feasts because a lot of these festivals or series, they last up to 12 days. They lasted,
Yeah.
we'll just say days and leave it up to interpretation. But yeah, I
hmm
read that and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Well, it's very interesting because nowadays we have a big gap in hunting, right? So we have the older generations that are starting to wane on their hunting abilities, and the younger generations not following through. So now we have this overabundance of like, at least here in the north, we have an overabundance of deer that's not being taken care of. So what they're doing now is I have seen an uptick on the just 94, just observation on the freeway. I've seen a lot of deer that has gotten slaughtered by a car instead. So like I I guess I get the fact that you don't want to kill things. I get that, right? But then I also, with not actually being responsible for these wild creatures and what you're doing instead of giving them a death that is more noble and then absorbing the creature as and honoring the creature with the substance that they've given you is now we are letting it suffer and die. So it's an interesting place to be because like yes, I don't want to kill things. Like I am totally like kind of part of that group. It's not like I'm out hunting, that's for sure. But I definitely have observed at least this year of that kind of thing. Like I don't think we have to hunt and sit on top of these dead bodies like, haha, look what I did. I'm so victorious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where like, but going, swinging the pendulum all the way to the other side where we're not and seeing the lack of this sacrifice that we're doing is and why we're doing it. Like there's not enough food for these creatures to live their best life. So we're basically taking out some of the herd so the rest of them can survive the winter.
Yep. I'm
So I
not
don't know
hunting
where.
deer because I hate the way deer taste. Venison's.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either, but
Hell no.
if we could
Um,
do it and then like I don't know, maybe go to charity because I don't think I can. I don't know. I mean, if I had to, obviously I would do it. But
yeah. Guess I've never really thought about it because it's never really been in my line of sight. Like my uncle hunted,
yeah,
but it wasn't like a thing that was like, oh my God, my dad wasn't a hunter and neither my stepdad was, but it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna take the girls. It was like we're taking the
yeah,
boys. And I'm like, shit,
right.
I was fine with that. I want
You're
to
like,
sit out there
okay,
for hours cold.
cold, right?
Um,
Ugh.
so another theory about Yule that I read was that the original festival was a Norse Day of the Dead with the god Odin as a major player because one of his roles was also to oversee the dead. And then I read that Yule became a name for Christmas in the 9th century. And I was like, wow. Um, yeah, popular take on the Yule log, which we talked about, is the roulade style cake. It's decorated in like a log. There's a lot of traditions out there. There's a lot of things you can look up yourself. I'm not going to give you everything. um, there is different ceremonies you can do behind a Yule log cake. There are different ceremonies, different rituals, different things you could do with your family specifically to take in that kind of like energy. And another remaining tradition is that of the Yule goat. It is thought that the tradition originated in ancient times, perhaps as a tribute to the god Thor, who was said to ride a chariot pulled by goats. So there's a lot of cities and countries still that will do like straw goats and stuff, or they'll do these big things of goats in the city. And then I have some stuff in here about different things that we do and where it came from because I was actually really kind of mind blown by this. Have you heard of wassailing? It's Christmas caroling. Christmas
Oh,
caroling began as the tradition of wassailing. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. I'm going to say a lot of things probably wrong. Well, sailors went from door to door, singing and drinking to the house of their neighbors. And then villagers
Hmm.
traveled through their fields and orchards in the middle of the winter, singing and shouting to drive any spirits that may inhibit the growth of their crops.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, I did not know that. Another one I didn't know. Of course, everything's magical, but I didn't know. I never think about mistletoe because we also really don't
Hmm.
use real mistletoe here in Michigan. Most people have just fake ones if they even have it
Hmm.
anymore.
Well, and all I know about it is kissing underneath it. That's it.
That's all I knew too. Well, the reason is the ancient Romans honored the god Saturn, and to keep him happy, they conducted fertility rituals under the mistletoe. So it's also considered a
Um,
plant of peace and reconciliation. So a lot of the times that fighting that you were talking about would end under mistletoe. They would literally drop their arms
oh,
to go under the mistletoe during this time to take part in fertility rituals, I guess you could say, to honor the god Saturn. And in the Norse mythology, it's also associated with Frigga. I'm so sorry. I told you guys I'm going to say a lot of this wrong. It's Frigga. She's a goddess of love. And I know it's not pronounced like how I'm saying it, but you know, your girl's from Michigan and white, so
right. And
an
dyslexic.
American.
So
So I apologize.
sorry about
Um,
it.
gift giving actually developed within the last 200 or 300 years. That wasn't always a thing,
Oh,
especially not back in the
interesting.
ancient times.
Hmm.
It's mainly associated with the biblical tale of the three wise men who gave gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to Jesus.
Yeah.
So it's more of signifying that. Um, the holly bush, which I don't even know really what it looks like or kind of what it is, because I don't think we ever really had any of that. But I know it's got like the three berries on it and pointy leaves.
Yeah, it's got these, they use it in some, I think it had its like trend back maybe about 10 years ago where they started using it in landscaping.
Mm.
But I've only seen it in, because at some point, I look at landscaping and trees and bushes all the time. So
No,
I'm
that's
like,
weird.
I know. And I was like, wait, this is holly. Like,
So the symbolism behind the holly bush, there's two of them that I read. One is for Christians, it's the red berries represent the blood of Christ, and the sharp edged green leaves are associated with his crown of thorns. And then in pre-Christian pagan cultures, I read that the holly was associated with the god of winter, which is the Holly King, right? Doing his
mhm,
annual battle with the Oak King. So holly was known as a wood that could also drive off spirits as well.
yeah.
So
There's a
they would,
lot of myth and lore about Hollywood.
ooh, ooh,
Hollywood.
my ears are perking.
Where certain demons or certain spirits could only be driven off or killed by Hollywood.
The city. I'm just kidding.
Yes, the whole city. I know it's driven me off, so apparently that's the whole thing.
Right.
I'm done.
Same. Um, okay, so Nicole mentioned the legend of the Holly King and the Oak King, right? So let's talk about it really quick. The two mighty rulers fight for supremacy, is what it's believed. This is how the legend goes, that they fight for supremacy as the wheel of the year turns each year. And at the winter solstice of the Yule, the Oak King conquers the Holly King and then reigns until midsummer. And we did talk
Mhm.
about that when we were talking about midsummer. Once the summer solstice arrives, the Holly King returns to do battle with the Oak King and defeats him. And in some Wiccan traditions, you'll hear that this is the Oak King and the Holly King are seen as dual aspects of the horned god,
Mhm.
who like then, that's like trying to get back to the maiden. The Holly Queen King is the one that frequently appears as the woodsy version of Santa Claus. And
Yeah.
then he's dressed in red and wears a sprig of holly in his tangled hair. And he has been depicted as driving a team of 8 stags. But then the Oak King is portrayed as a fertility god and occasionally appears as like the green man or like a lord of a forest is what he usually
Yeah.
looks like.
Well, they do have a Saint Nicholas in Catholicism.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's who, if you're traditional Christian, that would be where Saint Nick came from or what he did, right?
Yeah, and I saw that Santa Claus um was given some of the Holly King and some of Saint Nick's features to create Santa Claus as well. And I thought that
Hmm.
was extremely interesting because I'm like, who did that?
Right.
Who did that?
Well, because even like the Holly King would have red in him, right?
Hmm.
And because of the berries that are, and then giving gifts, like that's a whole nother thing. And uh stags.
Stags.
Mhm.
Stags are everywhere.
Stags are ever we're very deer like thing.
Yeah, for real. So some of the big colors we see during this time are red, whites, and greens. And
Hmm.
I, again, never think about stuff like that. I don't think into it. I'm just like, I want every color that screams Christmas puked in my house Don't know why, I just like it. So I read that red is actually associated with passion and sexuality. Remember, this is a time that back in ancient times, I guess I should say, they believed that this was a time for fertility, right? Like we're getting the sun back, we're going to start getting everything back. This is a time to lay your seeds in a way. Red can also indicate prosperity, and they were talking about how red is connected with the root chakra and how important that is during
Hmm.
this time, which I was hoping you could elaborate on why that would be important for your root chakra to like recognize during this time.
Well, our root chakra is associated with red. That's where our animal urges come and like our instincts and this survival need. The blood is red. So we have that life force in there as well.
Isn't our root
Um,
chakra where we ground from as well?
mhm. Yeah, but that is, I think the mantra for that is I am safe.
I love that.
Um,
Um,
Green is about abundance and growth.
Green is also seen as a color for spring and new growth. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, oops. Oh, there. White is also for purification and your own spiritual development. And I read something about hanging white snowflakes and stars around your house as a way to keep the spiritual environment clean.
Oh, that's good.
And I was like, that's it. We're making paper snowflakes
We're
tonight.
making paper snowflakes immediately.
um, I also, when I was researching like the colors and everything, I found this story, this like little legend about why pine trees are so important in evergreens. I figured I'd share it because it was actually really cool. So, um, why evergreen trees remain green when everything else has died is what this legend's about. And the story goes that the sun decided to take a break from warming the earth, and so he went on a bit of a hiatus. Before he left, he told all the trees and plants not to worry because he'd be back soon when he felt rejuvenated. After the sun had gone a while, the earth began to get chilly, and many of the trees wailed and moaned in fear that the sun would never return, crying that he would have had abandoned the earth. Some of them got so upset that they dropped their leaves on the ground. However, far up in the
Upset.
hills above the snow line, the fir and the pine and the holly could see that the sun was indeed still out there, although he was far away. They tried to reassure the other trees, who mostly just cried a lot and dropped more leaves. Eventually, the sun began to make his way back, and the earth grew warmer. When he finally returned, he looked around and saw all the bare trees. The sun was disappointed at the lack of faith that the trees had shown and reminded them that he had kept his promise to return. As a reward for believing in him, the sun told the fir, the pine, and the holly that they would be permitted to keep their green needles and leaves all year long. However, all the other trees will still shed their leaves each fall, as a reminder to them that the sun will be back again after the solstice.
Aw,
I was like,
that's so nice.
I've never heard that. And I was like, that's kind of
No, that's
cool.
really cool. Well, I know that like science-wise, like they have a form of antifreeze inside their veins, and that's why
Oh,
they don't
really?
freeze. Yeah.
I
And
did not
then
know that.
it's also a symbol of oh, what is it? There was a reason why we brought it in it like immortal life or something, forever life, like because they're evergreens kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense too. I guess I've just never, I mean, I've never thought about it in any way other than that's just what we did. You do. You bring in tree in that's like a pine tree or a fir, whatever it may be, and that's what you decorate. And I just never thought about it.
No, because we don't know where these like traditions really come from, right? We just do what our parents say, right?
Yeah, we just do what
We're
we're,
like, oh, we gotta go get a tree now.
this is what we do.
Hmm.
Um, the only other few things I have, I told you guys about the Yule log ceremony they have for your family. There are when I say a fuck ton, I mean a fuck ton of rituals that you can do to welcome back the sun. Look them
Hmm.
up. There are many, many, many
Hmm.
Yuletide prayers that you can do during this time as well to like keep you in
Hmm.
that spirit. Um, and they're prayers for everything, different stuff, you know.
Well,
So
and I think to help with like seasonal depression and feeling kind of gloomy at this point in time, if that's kind of what you do, I would have you do a lot of simmer pots because this is going to feel really good inside your home because you're going to feel warm and comforted. Take your vitamin D.
well, and what I was going to end on as well to add to Nicole's, this is the absolute best time other than spring, which we all know about spring cleaning, but we don't think about it now. This is the best time to cleanse and physically clean, spiritually, ethically, physically clean your
Hmm.
home during this time. It's a good time for all of it because you're at least you're here in Michigan, you're going to be in your house a lot.
Yeah, and you're going to feel better about it if you're doing something that helps you move that energy along instead of having it be stagnant until spring.
Absolutely.
Like get one of those little sun lamps. Like go, and I know everybody will hate this, but go tanning. It if you do it, if you're
How
not
dare you,
doing,
Nicole?
I know, because skin cancer is
Worst.
a thing, and I get it. But also, what's the point of like, are you afraid of skin cancer or you just want to be depressed all the time? Like, if it helps your mood, that's really going to help your overall being in the long run anyway.
Yeah,
So, instead of just sitting in it and accepting it for the way it is and being like the grumpy bear, do something about it. What makes you like, you know, go swimming, go do something that makes you feel good instead of like sitting there and like being a Scrooge on the holidays.
yeah, no bah humbugging, dog. The rest of
No,
us are
Baha,
enjoying this
that's
shit.
right.
I'm not enjoying it because you want to be all bah humbuggy. Goodbye.
Go. This is a fun little thing to do with nature is go out and get some pine cones. We did this with Jessica. Get some pine cones, put a little string on them, put a bunch of peanut butter on it, roll it in bird seed, and then put it back outside on your trees for the birds and the other wildlife that's still out there. Yeah.
Yes.
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 Well, that's all I got on Yule.
That's all we got on you.
Don't bah humbug. Stop complaining about the
No.
snow.
Yeah.
Let's
You know
be
what?
honest.
Let's do some snow magic.
Yeah, And let's be honest, nobody likes that shit. I don't want to hear you
Yeah.
complaining about this. No, I don't. Just because I
Mm,
love it, even when there was a point in time if I didn't love it, I don't want to hear it. No bah
mm-mm.
humbugging.
No, nope.
There's nothing
I'm
not to be thankful for.
joyous. You're still alive. Be thankful.
Well, and I think our next episode's going to help a lot too, because Nicole and I really wanted to do this next episode this year for you guys to be able to always have to refer back on, because the holidays can be hard for a lot of people and it can be hard to be around certain family members. It can be hard in general. So we're going to do our next episode is on how to survive the holidays with your family.
Yeah, this here is going to be very helpful for us to remember to A, we they have no power over us. B, I'm okay with like keeping the peace. I don't have to have you agree with me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to win anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of thing of like calling back my power, really sitting in my centered that like makes it really kind of awesome. Because then I can enjoy my family because this is where I came from.
Yep.
And I can go home and still be me, right? Like I don't have to fight anymore.
No.
Prove my point.
Right. And we're going to talk about why and how to do that, and also
Yeah,
the why behind it, why you want to do that, what that's going to do for you, what
yeah,
that's going to do for your family. We're
yes,
going to talk about
yes.
it because I think this is something that we both struggled with before we were on this path doing a lot of the stuff that we're doing. And,
Right.
I'm sure you guys will feel that as well the more that you have listened. Those of you that have been listening this whole entire time doing all this inner work, I think this year is going to feel different for you in a good way. But we're going to
Mhm.
talk about it so that we can try to help things that have
Just
helped us.
yeah, just little tools and tricks and tips and airing it out and all that kind of stuff. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Happy Yule.
Happy Yule, peeps. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.